He called it ugly. He called it terrible. He called it expensive. He said the U.S. is not going to approve any wind farms.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by energy and environment reporter Callie Patteson. Callie, you took a trip out to 3 Mile Island. You wrote a piece for us in the magazine on some of the things that you learned out there. What did you discover?
Yeah, of course. So 3 Mile Island, it has since been renamed the Crane Clean Energy Center, and it is on track to be one of the first decommissioned nuclear plants in the U.S. to come back online. Of course, the first likely going to be Palisades later this year. But 3 Mile Island, it's an interesting place. You know, of course, it is the site of the worst nuclear accident in U.S. history back in 1979. And so they're restarting Unit 1. Unit 2, where the accident happened, it's still shut down. They're still in the process of decommissioning it. But Unit 1, it's going to restart. They're hoping to have it up and running by 2027. And the folks that are restarting it are Constellation Energy and Microsoft. Now, Microsoft wants to use this nuclear energy to really support their operations. There's talks of maybe having a data center in the area and really support AI. That's why they want it. They want stable and reliable energy to support their AI operations. And nuclear power has one of the highest capacity factors for energy. It has a capacity factor of 92.5%. Meanwhile, natural gas has 56, and coal has 40%, which means they only run at maximum electricity about that percentage a year. But 3 Mile Island, they're making some good progress. You know, they've already digitized some of the control room before it was decommissioned back in 2019. And so they're planning on integrating AI systems into the plant when they're going to restart it. This is going to help with the regulatory process, with maintenance, and making sure that they're able to access the thousands of papers that go into running a plant much faster and much easier. And so there's a lot of steps they still have to do. You know, they're still going to pursue a loan from the federal government, but considering the Trump administration is so pro-nuclear, we don't anticipate seeing any pushback from the NRC, from the administration, in the effort to really restart this plant.
So the Trump administration is certainly pro-nuclear, but President Trump, during his trip to Scotland, had some choice words for wind energy.
He did, and you know, it doesn't come as a surprise. His feud with wind can be traced back to Scotland back in 2013. You know, he pushed against the Scottish government, who approved an offshore wind farm to be built right outside of one of his luxury golf courses. So he's long been a critic of wind, and this week we saw him doubling down on it. He called it ugly. He called it terrible. He called it expensive. He said the U.S. is not going to approve any wind farms, which you might think is a nail in the coffin for the wind industry. But we do have some wind farms offshore and onshore that are under construction that are likely going to see some progress. But folks in the industry aren't confident that we're going to see anything new built in terms of new shovels and new permits approved, and it's really going to kind of come to a standstill. He did make some claims that are still questionable. You know, he said that wind turbines have to be scrapped every 8 years, but the Department of Energy itself has said, you know, the average lifespan for these wind turbines is now around 30 years. So there's still some conflicting statements as we see from the administration, but it's not a surprise given his long distaste for wind. So it's going to be interesting how it develops over the coming weeks and months, but folks in the industry aren't very confident.
So walk us through this endangerment finding. The Trump EPA has rolled back something by previous Democratic administrations. What does this mean?
So they haven't officially rolled it back yet. What they've done is they've proposed to roll it back. They've proposed a rule rescinding the 2009 endangerment finding, which was issued under the Obama administration. And this endangerment finding, it's a linchpin to pretty much all climate regulations that we are familiar with today in terms of tailpipe emissions, power plant emissions, regulations, all of that. And so this finding, it found that 6 greenhouse gases, including methane and carbon, are a threat to public health and welfare. This was backed by a 2007 Supreme Court ruling that determined and affirmed greenhouse gases are a pollutant under the Clean Air Act. And so this finding, it authorized the EPA to issue regulations on emissions, whether it's from vehicles or power plants or appliances. And so Republicans and the administration have said that this has caused an unduly burden on Americans, whether it's from consumer choice or the cost of electric vehicles versus gas-powered cars. And so they're looking to pull it back and give that choice back to the American people. But environmentalists and climate activists and
Sure.
folks across the board, really, across both parties, have said that repealing this will do more harm than good, and that it could threaten the U.S.'s ability to mitigate climate in the future, to impose regulations on carbon emissions in the future. So there's a lot of concern about undoing this entire 2009 endangerment finding. Now, the administration is right now, they're really focusing on the tailpipe emissions and when it comes to vehicles. They haven't talked about it a lot as it relates to power plants.
Right.
But in the proposal itself, which is published, they have said that if this rule is, if the finding is revoked and is rescinded, they likely will start to go down that route. So it's published online. It's on the Federal Register. It's open for public comment until or through September, and there's going to be a couple of public hearings in August, on August 19th and August 20th. So we're expecting to see a lot of noise around those dates. We're going to see a lot of groups like Sierra Club, Environmental Defense Fund, all of these folks really kind of coming to speak to the dangers of repealing this rule. And We'll see how it goes. I mean, we're
Right.
expecting to see a lot of legal challenges on this. Of course,
Sure.
those challenges can't happen during the public comment period.
Right.
But they could repeal this finding as soon as the end of this year.
Thank you, Callie.
Of course.
You can read Callie and the rest of our policy team's coverage and subscribe to our Daily on Energy newsletter at washingtonexaminer.com.